Hi, my name is Emily and I am 23 years old. I wish I could say that my 20s were filled with freedom, discovery, and joy, but much of it was stolen by an obligation I never agreed to. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, like it, spread the word, and tell us where you're watching from. It started quietly, almost innocently, with my aunt asking me to just watch the kids for a few hours. I didn't realize then that those few hours would stretch into years of unpaid work, whispered manipulation, and nights where I cried myself to sleep, too drained to fight back. At first, it seemed harmless. My aunt had two little children full of energy and endless needs, and she liked to remind everyone that raising them was a job no one could understand unless they were a mother. She said it so often that I began to believe her. She looked at me with a mix of pleading and authority, a tone only she could manage, as though saying no to her was equal to betraying the whole family. "Emily," she would sigh, pretending exhaustion so convincingly, "you know I can't do this without you. Just help me out today. You're so good with them." And I always nodded. I wasn't strong enough to say no. I feared being called selfish or lazy. I feared my family comparing me to her, a mother who, according to them, worked harder than anyone else. I didn't have children of my own, so who was I to argue? At first, I thought I was helping. A few hours on the weekend, an evening here and there. But soon it wasn't occasional. It was every week, then multiple times a week, then whole weekends when she and her husband wanted to go out. She made me feel like it was my duty, like being single and childless at my age meant I had plenty of time to give. I began living my life around her schedule. I turned down invitations from friends because she needed me. I skipped classes once because she called me last minute claiming, "There's no one else, Emily. And you wouldn't want the kids to suffer, would you?" The guilt she laid on me was heavier than anything I'd ever carried, and every time I tried to resist, she sharpened her words. "You'll understand when you're older. Right now, you're just free. You don't get how hard life is." I remember one night in particular. It was nearly midnight. I was rocking her youngest to sleep, my arms aching, my eyes burning. My aunt was out at a party, her laughter filling her Instagram stories while I sat alone in the dark nursery. The baby finally closed his eyes, and I sat on the floor holding him, afraid to move in case he woke up. I whispered into the silence, "Why am I the one here?" But no one answered. Only the faint hum of the baby monitor kept me company. That was how my life became. Stolen moments of youth traded for unpaid labor, hidden behind the mask of helping family. The hardest part wasn't even the babysitting itself. It was how small I started to feel. Every time I was introduced at family gatherings, my aunt would smile and say, "This is Emily, my lifesaver, the one who keeps me sane." Everyone would laugh, pat me on the shoulder, and tell me how lucky my aunt was to have me. But inside I felt invisible. I wasn't a lifesaver. I was a convenient tool. I wanted to scream that I was tired, that I deserved to live my own life. But the words never came out. I swallowed them, nodding and smiling, while my chest tightened with silent resentment. One day, I tried to push back. She'd asked me to babysit during an important interview I had for a part-time job. "Auntie," I said carefully, "I can't do it today. I really need to focus on this interview. It's important for my future." Her eyes narrowed just slightly, though her lips curled into a smile. "Oh, Emily," she said sweetly, "you're young. There will be other jobs. But the kids, they need you now. Surely you don't want them to feel abandoned?" Her words landed like a knife. Abandoned. She made me feel like saying no to her was saying no to the children. So I canceled my interview. And that night, when everyone went to bed, I sat in my room staring at the rejection email on my laptop, tears rolling down my cheeks. I began losing myself piece by piece. My time wasn't mine. My choices weren't mine. Even my emotions didn't belong to me anymore. They were dictated by how guilty my aunt made me feel. The exhaustion was constant. Sometimes, after spending 12 hours chasing after her kids, I'd come home to my own quiet room, sink into my bed fully clothed, and let the tears fall. I cried not because the children were difficult, but because I felt trapped. Because no one saw how much it was breaking me. I wondered if maybe this was my role in life, to serve, to sacrifice silently. Maybe this is why I was here, to make life easier for everyone else while my own dreams faded quietly in the background. But deep inside, a small voice refused to die. It whispered to me late at night when I was too tired to think. This isn't fair. You deserve more. That voice scared me because I knew that if I ever listened to it, everything would change. My aunt would be angry. My family would turn against me. I would no longer be the obedient niece who kept everything running smoothly. Still, the voice grew louder every time I gave in to her demands. And deep down, I knew it was only a matter of time before I stopped obeying, because no matter how heavy the burden, there comes a day when even silence breaks, and mine was getting dangerously close. The breaking point came on an ordinary Sunday morning. My aunt called, her voice sugary sweet but lined with the same demand I'd heard 100 times. Emily, come over. I need you to watch the kids while I run errands. It'll just be a few hours. I stared at my phone, my pulse racing. That small voice inside me, the one that whispered late at night, was screaming now. My chest tightened and my hands trembled, but for the first time I let the words spill out. I can't, I said softly. Then louder, no, I'm not coming today. There was a long silence on the other end. Then her tone shifted, sharp as broken glass. Excuse me? After everything I've done for you, you're going to turn your back on family? My throat ached, but I didn't take it back. I'm sorry, but I need to start focusing on my own life. I can't keep doing this. The line went dead. For a moment, I thought maybe that was the end. That maybe she would cool off and we'd talk later. But instead, it was only the beginning of something far crueler than I could have imagined. The lies began almost immediately. At first, I didn't notice. My cousins avoided me at a family gathering. My uncle wouldn't meet my eyes. Then my mother pulled me aside, her brows furrowed with worry. Emily, she whispered, why would you tell your aunt that you hate our kids? My mouth fell open. What? I never said that. But the damage had already begun. My aunt's story was spreading like wildfire. She told everyone that I had insulted her children, that I had bragged about refusing to help her, that I had called her ungrateful. None of it was true, but the more she repeated it, the more people believed. Family dinners became unbearable. I sat at the table picking at my food while whispers circled around me. My aunt laughed loudly, pretending everything was normal while throwing me glances filled with triumph. I felt like a stranger in my own family, trapped in the middle of rumors I couldn't control. Inside, I was breaking down at night. I lay awake, replaying everything in my head. The guilt, the shame, the anger. I asked myself if maybe I really was selfish. Maybe I had been too harsh. Maybe I should have just stayed quiet and kept helping her, no matter how exhausted I was. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had only asked for respect. And somehow that had turned me into the villain. One evening, I finally confronted her. Auntie, I said, my voice shaking, why are you telling people these lies about me? I never said those things, she smirked, folding her arms. Well, Emily, people deserve to know who you really are. You used me, then abandoned me. I trusted you, and you threw it in my face. What do you expect me to say? I clenched my fists at my sides. I gave up years of my life for you. I canceled plans, interviews, opportunities because you asked me to. And you never once said thank you. Now you're punishing me because I finally said no? Her eyes narrowed. You think you're the victim here? You're just ungrateful. You'll regret this when no one in this family wants you around. Her words cut deep, but they also lit a fire in me. For the first time, I didn't cry in front of her. I stood tall, even as my legs shook. Days later, something unexpected happened. My cousin Sarah, the one who had been the coldest to me since the lies began, sent me a message. Can we talk? We met at a small cafe, the kind with chipped mugs and the smell of burnt coffee. I sat across from her, nervous, expecting more accusations. But instead, she leaned forward and whispered, I don't believe what Aunt has been saying about you. I blinked, my chest tightening. You don't? She shook her head. I've seen how much you've done for her. I remember the nights you stayed over, the times you missed things just to help. I know you wouldn't say those things. I think she's just angry that she can't control you anymore. Tears pricked my eyes. For the first time in weeks, I felt seen. Thank you, I whispered, my voice breaking. You have no idea how much that means. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. Emily, you don't have to let her walk all over you. I'm proud of you for saying no. That conversation changed something inside me. It didn't erase the pain, but it gave me strength. If even one person could see the truth, then maybe I wasn't as invisible as I felt. I started speaking up, gently but firmly. When relatives questioned me, I looked them in the eye and said, I never said those things. I only asked for space to live my own life. I didn't beg them to believe me anymore. I let my calmness be my defense. Not everyone came around. Some relatives still believed her lies. Some looked at me with suspicion. But slowly, a few others softened, realizing maybe there was more to the story. And for the first time, I realized that their approval wasn't what defined me. What defined me was my courage to finally choose myself. The last time, I saw my aunt. She gave me that same sharp smile, the one she'd used to control me for years. But this time, I smiled back not with fear, but with quiet strength. I hope you find someone else to lean on, I said calmly. Because it won't be me anymore. Her face hardened, but I didn't stay to see her reaction. I walked away, my hands trembling, my heart racing, but my chest finally light. That night, I sat in my room, the silence no longer heavy but peaceful. For the first time in years, I felt free. I knew the scars would stay, the whispers, the broken trust, the distance between me and some relatives. But I also knew something else. I had reclaimed my voice, and though part of me still feared the loneliness that might come, a stronger part whispered with certainty self-respect is worth the cost. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, like it, spread the word, and tell us where you're watching from.